the pen, the power, and the permission to be free. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Eboni Moen, founder of Imani's Light, a spiritual wellness company that's rewriting the rules on what healing looks like for Black women. Eboni is a certified spiritual life coach, energy healer, military veteran, and she's one semester away from earning her Associate of Arts in Social Work and Human Services from Coastline Community College before transferring to Portland State University for her bachelor's in social work. But here's what really matters: Ebony is living proof that you can author your own story, even when the world handed you a script written in trauma, silence, and survival mode. She's turning pain into power, fear into freedom, and she's helping Black women everywhere do the same. Her work is changing lives one boundary at a time, and today we're unpacking the wisdom she shared with me because it's time to grab your pen. Let's start here. You know that feeling when you realize you've been living someone else's story, when you've been so busy surviving that you forgot you're supposed to be thriving? That's where so many of us have been. We've been the strong friend, the dependable sister, the one who holds it all together while quietly falling apart. We've worn the cape so long we forgot we could take it off. But here's the truth Ebony reminded me of, and I'm passing it straight to you. You are the author of your own story. No one else holds the pen, not your mama, not your ex, not your boss, not the church, not the trauma that tried to define you. You hold the pen, and it's time to start writing the chapters you actually want to live. Ebony's journey is a master class in reclaiming that pen. She grew up in cycles of abuse, maternal abuse, sexual abuse by family members, partner violence, the kind of pain that teaches you silence is survival. She learned early that making herself small kept her safe, or at least safer. But safe isn't the same as free. And when she joined the military, something shifted. It wasn't just the discipline or the structure, it was the awakening. It was the moment she realized she had a voice and that voice had power. She started setting boundaries. She started saying no. And when her ex husband attempted violence, she made a choice that changed everything. She chose herself. She walked away. She refused to be a doormat. She reclaimed her story. And now, through Imani's light, she's teaching other women to do the same, to pick up the pen and write themselves free. Now, let me pause here because I know some of you are thinking, LeAnne, that sounds nice, but you don't know my situation. And you're right, I don't. But I do know this: your situation doesn't get to write your ending. Your pain doesn't get the final word. Ebony didn't let hers. Serena Williams didn't let hers. Oprah Winfrey didn't let hers. And neither will you. Let's talk about Serena for a second. Serena Williams grew up in Compton, California, practicing tennis on courts surrounded by gang violence and poverty. She faced racial slurs, death threats, biased umpiring, in a world that wanted her to shrink her power and dim her light. The tennis establishment didn't roll out the red carpet for a Black girl from Compton. They made her fight for every inch. But Serena said no. She channeled every ounce of that pain into fierce discipline under her father Richard's coaching. She confronted injustice head on, like when she called out sexism after the 2018 US Open, refusing to stay silent when the rules were applied differently to her than to her male counterparts. She built mental resilience through therapy and self advocacy, understanding that her mind was just as important as her backhand. And today, 23 Grand Slam singles titles, Olympic gold, billionaire status through Serena Ventures, and a legacy that redefined what's possible for Black women in tennis and beyond. Serena didn't let Compton write her story. She grabbed the pen and wrote her own. She turned courts surrounded by bullets into stages for brilliance. She transformed every slur, every threat, every moment of bias into fuel for greatness. And then there's Oprah. Oprah Winfrey endured childhood sexual abuse by family members, extreme poverty in rural Mississippi, and a teenage pregnancy that ended in loss. She was silenced by fear, taught that survival meant staying quiet, that speaking up would only bring more pain. But Oprah found her voice. She used education and media as her discipline, her awakening, her way out. She embraced vulnerability through her confessional talk show style, creating a space where millions of people could see their own pain reflected back and know they weren't alone. She set boundaries against exploiters, refusing to let anyone use her story for their gain. She turned her trauma into therapy for millions, building an empire not on perfection, but on truth. Today, she's the world's first Black female billionaire, the founder of Own Network, and a philanthropist who's empowering the next generation through her Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. Oprah didn't let abuse write her story. She grabbed the pen and wrote her own. She took the shame that was meant to silence her and turned it into a microphone that reached the world. So here's the question: what's stopping you from grabbing yours? Eboni shared three powerful truths with me, and I want to break them down for you because they're not just ideas. They're invitations to step into your soft girl era, to release the cape, to redefine strength, and to protect your peace like your life depends on it. Because it does. First, you are the author of your own story. This means owning your narrative, especially the painful parts. It means turning experiences like abuse, betrayal, or chronic overextension into sources of resilience and fire that build your strongest self. Ebony didn't erase her past. She didn't pretend it didn't happen. She didn't minimize it or sugarcoat it. She alchemized it. She took the pain and turned it into purpose through Imani's light, where she now coaches women to reclaim their power, to see their scars not as marks of shame, but as badges of survival and strength. That's authorship. That's taking the pen and writing a new chapter, not because the old ones didn't hurt, but because you refuse to let them be the only chapters that matter. You refuse to let the worst thing that happened to you become the only thing that defines you. Second, embrace the power of no in facing fears. Standing up for yourself, setting boundaries without apology, and saying what's not acceptable strips fear of its power and unlocks freedom. Your light shines brightest in the darkest times. Ebony learned this in the military, but she lived it when she confronted her abuser and walked away from draining situations. She learned that no is a complete sentence, that boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to peace, and that facing your fears, whether it's speaking up in one conversation or walking away from one toxic relationship, is how you reclaim your freedom. Fear wants you to stay small, to stay quiet, to keep shrinking until you disappear. But you were made to shine. You were made to take up space. You were made to say no without guilt and yes without explanation. The power of no is the power to protect your peace, your time, your energy, your very life. Third, reclaim your voice to shine unapologetically. Chase dreams boldly, nurture your peace, and help others do the same. Struggles don't break you, they make you a force. Ebony is living this right now. She's building Imani's light, finishing her degree, preparing for her BSW at Portland State, and empowering Black women to break silence and challenge oppressive systems. She's not waiting for permission. She's not dimming her light to make others comfortable. She's shining unapologetically and inviting you to do the same. She's proving that your voice, your story, your light, they matter They're not too much, they're not too loud, they're exactly what the world needs. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, "LeAnne, this sounds beautiful, but how do I actually do this?" And I hear you. So here's your challenge, straight from Eboni's playbook. It's called the 7-Day Claim Your Pen Challenge. Each day, identify one fear that's holding your story hostage. Maybe it's not saying no. Maybe it's dimming your light at work. Maybe it's staying in a relationship that drains you. Maybe it's not speaking up when something feels wrong. Face it head on. Speak up in one conversation. Walk away from one draining situation. Journal about how your past pain fuels your fire. And by the end of each day, affirm this. I author my story, no apologies. Share your wins with hashtag Imani's Light or email Ebony directly. Freedom is waiting on the other side, but you have to take the first step. You have to pick up the pen. Here's what I want you to understand, this isn't about becoming someone new, it's about becoming who you've always been underneath the survival mode, underneath the cape, underneath the fear. It's about softness as strength. It's about rest as resistance. It's about joy as justice. Because when you reclaim your story, you don't just change your life, you change the lives of everyone watching you, your daughter, your sister, your friend, the woman at church who's been silently struggling. You become the permission slip they've been waiting for. You become the proof that it's possible to heal, to grow, to thrive, to shine. Ebony told me something during our interview that I can't stop thinking about. She said, "I used to think survival was strength, but real strength is choosing yourself, even when it's scary. Real strength is saying no, even when it's uncomfortable. Real strength is shining, even when the world wants you dim." And that's the soft girl era in a nutshell. It's not about being weak, it's about being wise enough to know that you don't have to carry everything. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to earn your rest. You already deserve it. You deserve softness. You deserve peace. You deserve joy, not because you've worked hard enough or sacrificed enough or proven yourself enough, but because you're human, because you're here, because you matter. So let me ask you, what role, mask, or responsibility are you no longer willing to carry? What does your soft girl era look and feel like right now? What past wound are you still tending to? And what's helping? How are you actively creating space for joy, rest, and boundaries? And how have you turned survival into something sacred or supportive for others? These are the questions Eboni is living into every single day. And they're the questions I'm inviting you to sit with, to wrestle with, to answer honestly. Because here's the truth, your story isn't over. The chapters you've lived, the pain you've endured, the silence you've carried, they're not the end, they're the beginning. They're the prologue to the most powerful part of your story, the part where you grab the pen and write yourself free, the part where you say no without guilt, the part where you rest without explanation, the part where you shine without apology, the part where you choose softness, not because you're weak, but because you're finally strong enough to be tender with yourself. Eboni Moen is out here doing the work, healing herself and healing others through Imani's light. She's proof that you can go from survival to softness, from pain to power, from silenced to unstoppable. And if she can do it, so can you. So can I. So can every woman listening to this right now who's been waiting for permission to put the cape down and pick the pen up. So here's my final word to you. The pen is in your hand right now, not tomorrow, not when things calm down, not when you feel ready. Right now, the page is blank. The world is waiting. And the story you write next will determine not just your freedom, but the freedom of every woman watching you, learning from you, drawing strength from you. Don't let fear hold you hostage. Don't let trauma have the final word. Don't let anyone tell you that your story is already written. because it's not. You're writing it right now in this moment with every boundary you set, every no you say, every dream you chase, every breath you take in your soft girl era. Grab your pen, write your freedom, shine your light, and remember struggles don't break you, they make you a force to be reckoned with. The question is, what will you write next? The world is watching. Your daughters are watching. Your sisters are watching. And they're waiting to see what happens when a woman finally decides she's done surviving and ready to start thriving. So pick up that pen, claim your story, and write the ending you deserve.